Year! Hey, now we're live. Hey, Happy New Year. It's Brandon Devonish from i3D Themes. You know, we've got a lot of good information for you here this week. But here we are, this week's interactive number 70, where we share what we're passionate about, what we've been working on here in the i3D Themes Design and Code Labs. And yeah, it's a brand new year. We're pretty excited for it. This was a short week, obviously, because we had Monday off. It was New Year's Day. And then we're all done the holiday season. But one of the fun things I want to share with you is that here in Victoria, British Columbia, we had our first Christmas in 8 years where it was a white Christmas. It just never happens because we're surrounded by water on almost all sides. We're at the southern tip of Vancouver Island on the west coast of Canada, and it very rarely reaches freezing here. And when it does, it may snow, and we do get snow on occasion, but never at Christmas. And it was absolutely magical, and my boys, who are still young, had never seen snow at Christmas, and at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Christmas Eve, it started snowing. They just started vibrating and thought how wonderful this is, and so before long, with not even a half an inch of snow on the ground, they were out there shoveling the driveway. Isn't that a great idea? Hey, teach them. Then they started shoveling the lawn, which was a little strange. There was not enough snow to actually make a snowman, but it was magical all the same. And then by the end of Christmas Day, it had pretty much all melted. But it was really quite nice. And then so here we are now. It's a brand new year, and lots of stuff going on. And we can really feel the uptick. My buddy Colin in the design lab has had virtually no time this week to work on designing. He's been on developing and taking on new projects. There's, like I said, there's definitely an uptick in activity in that we are seeing clients come back to us from, I'm just trying to think how many years. Some of these clients are coming back after 12, 15 years saying, time to redo my website. I'm like, yes, it is. You know, your site is built in 2006. It's definitely not mobile responsive. This is a really good idea. And one of the things that has persisted from day one for websites is how one stands out from the other has to do with presentation, obviously. You know, a white page with black text, ho-hum. If you have a design, you know, like a graphic design, and it looks nice, you know, the layout and the colors and background looks nice, that is very good. But what really separates is, you know, the images on the web page, the high quality images. In the early 2000s, you know, we really saw a lot of people starting with their own digital cameras, start taking photos and uploading them to their websites with their original file name. You know, you've probably seen these, DSC_10010 2018.jpg, all uppercase. It happens. But they're in their original file size. At that time, they were only like 2 megabytes in size. Now, digital cameras can take images that are like 5 megabytes or even 10 megabytes. They're huge. They're massive. They're just, you know, they're way bigger than they need to be for the web, and that can be a real problem if you don't resize your images appropriately. It's going to take the web page forever to load. Now on desktops with a fast fiber connection, you might not notice this, but it happens. And it happens for over 50% of devices, and I'll get to that in a second. One other thing that happens when you do this is you don't even think about it. It's, you know, you just keep the original file name, right? The trouble with that is that you really need to be naming your images when you upload them. This is sort of a side tip, by the way. Side tip. You need to be naming them appropriately. So like the image for the blog post that goes along with this video might be something like i3D themes image optimization webcast.jpg. And it would be sized appropriately, you know, about like that for the web page. And then it would be optimized. So that's the next thing. You need to make sure that the images are sized appropriately for the viewport. If you don't want something that's 2,000 pixels, you know, in width, when all you need is something that's 200 pixels in width. And so, you know, think about it like this. If you have a slider and you have these images that are, you know, designed to be like this big, that's kind of tilted there, that big, but they're this big, and so that they are, maybe 95% too big. Like the original file size might be 5 megabytes, but the actual intended file size might be like 100 kilobytes that you need. It's going to take, say you have 5 images in the slider or on your page, 25 megabytes in images. And again, on a desktop browser, it might go, okay, loaded. But on a mobile device, and that's my mobile device, sorry, actually the mobile device is actually recording this video right now. The mobile device, it takes a lot longer. I mean, the processors in these smartphones are optimized for the hardware and the software, but that's a lot of raw data coming down, especially if you're on a data plan. Ouch! 25 megabytes for a web page? Ouch! That's killer. As of, I think it was last year, over 60% of search going through Google is now done on a mobile device. And, there are going to be different demographics that maybe there's more desktop, like maybe it's like 80% desktop and 20% mobile phone, or 70% and 30%. Some might actually be 80% mobile phone and 20% desktop. Think about like India or the developing world, where everybody has access to a mobile phone, but maybe not to a desktop, right? So Google averages it out, and it's over 60% in search. So, and it's heading up. So that means that it's really important, obviously, to make sure your websites are optimized and loading fast for a mobile device. And one of the biggest things is image optimization. Making sure the image is appropriately sized and then optimized. So what we used to do, and many of us still do, is we use a program such as Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Fireworks, although Fireworks is no longer available. Darn it. Thanks, Adobe. It's a great program. So what we do is we take the images, we resize them appropriately, and we then export them at 80% of 100, which would mean that the quality would be reduced down by about 20%, but it wouldn't be noticeable to the human eye, but the file size actually would be reduced by about 80%. So, like your original file size might be a megabyte, and then it scrunches down to about 200 kilobytes, and it was really amazing. So that's how we used to do it, use programs like that. Now you can use, well, first of all, I was just looking this up, picresizer.com, picresize.com. You can just upload your image there, say how you want to resize it, crop it, and then save it. So you have no excuse. You can go use that, and then go and use tinypng.com. Basically, you just take the images from your computer, drag them over to your web browser. Within 5-10 seconds, it'll give you an optimized image. Save that back to your PC, put it into your file structure for your website, and re-upload it. There's another trick you can do, is that you can actually just go to Google PageSpeed Insights, type in your website address, and it'll give you your score. And if your images are not optimized, I guarantee you your score is not going to be very good. You might have a heart attack. It can be pretty dramatic. We've seen websites with like no image optimization whatsoever, like ginormous images that are just, yeah, and the score is 0 out of 100. That page ain't ever getting listed in Google. You gotta be in the 90s, 85 or above, to be guaranteed that your pages are going to be doing well. So it's really, really important to make sure that your images are optimized. So if you run this scan on Google PageSpeed Insights, it's going to tell you, oh, you've got about 25 images that need to be optimized. Okay, scroll down to the bottom of that report, and there's going to be a link that says download optimized resources or something to that effect. Click that. Download is going to give you your optimized images. You just need to figure out where they go in your file structure, okay? And now, keep in mind, Google doesn't always do a perfect job. Sometimes it over-optimizes images to an incorrect size, and so there's sometimes some things that you need to do to your HTML to make that work, or have them change how they optimize the images. But this is a really good place to start, okay? If you can satisfy Google by putting its own images into your website the way it wants to see them, then there you go. WordPress, if you're running a WordPress site, is a completely different animal. You can optimize your images. You can resize them, give them a beautiful name just as I said earlier, i3D themes image optimization webcast.jpg, and you size it to like this big. Could it be about that size for the blog post, right? And then you upload it, and the WordPress theme maybe has a slightly different dimensions for the post featured image. WordPress will go and resize it, crop it itself, and then blow it up. It's no longer optimized. What a pain. Thanks, WordPress. So the only options available to you at that point are to manually go into the WordPress structure, tear down the images, re-optimize them, re-upload them, because it will save a sort of a resized, cropped version of that image. But that's getting kind of technical. Or the other option is do what we do, and that is we run Pegasus Accelerator. Pegasus Accelerator, you may have heard me in previous webcasts, this plugin that we developed. Amongst other things, it optimizes images on the fly automatically. You don't need to do anything. It just magically does it. There's a secret involved, but it basically takes all of the images, takes a look at if there's any sort of cropping that needs to happen, resizes it appropriately. That's a terrible triangle, Brandon. Jeez. Resizes it appropriately, and then runs it through 2 different image compression systems, and then saves a copy of it, and then serves that. And then after the first time, it's extremely fast. The first time to load an image might be 2 or 3 seconds to optimize it. But long story short, it gets past all of the stuff that WordPress does to resize and then bloat up your image, and it just serves a really optimized image. So that's what you can do for WordPress. We've been developing that thing for 8 months or so, and it's just out of beta now. But it doesn't just do image optimization. It does a whole slew of other aspects of what we call page speed optimization, making sure your pages are optimized for the Google Page Speed Insights tool, making sure that you're getting as high a score as possible so that your pages can appear as fast loading as possible. And by and large, the biggest thing you can do to speed up your web page is make sure that your web images are optimized for the web. So there you go. That's basically what's been keeping us busy here this week, is just working on Pegasus, working on improving the features, writing some articles. Again, we wrote one obviously on image optimization this week. That's why it's on my mind. I thought I'd share it with you. Next week we'll probably go over something else that's actually really important for optimizing your web pages. And so there you go. Anyways, hope you had a fantastic New Year's Eve, and that your year is going awesome already. We've got great plans for the year to come here, and